Okay, so Luke Littler clinches. Oh, bad formatting, Stu. Look at that. Get out of here. This orange thing. Luke Littler clinches maiden UK Open darts title. Okay, so here we go. Again, we're just going to read the first two paragraphs or so. If you would like to read the whole thing and learn all the vocabulary and do some practices and practice the other like 4 articles in here, there's lots more to read on, like previous videos we've got on there and some other ones. You can do. But I don't want to tell you the next one. But here we go. I'm going to go through the third article, and then we'll go over some tricky vocabulary from it. So here we go. In a commanding performance at the 2025 UK Open, 18-year-old darts sensation Luke Littler secured his first title by defeating veteran James Wade 11-2 in the final held in Minehead. Littler, known as the Nuke, showcased exceptional skill. Blimey, what's going on here? Averaging a 3-dart score of 101.5, while Wade averaged 88.06. Littler's journey to the final included notable victories over Gian Van Veen and Johnny Clayton. His triumph at the UK Open adds to an impressive list of achievements, including winning the World Darts Championship earlier in January 2025, where he became the youngest ever PDC World Darts Champion at 17 years and 347 days. Gian, I said Gian, probably Gian, isn't it?
It looks Dutch, doesn't it?
Yeah. So yeah. It's just not Van Gerwen, I know that much.
Yeah.
Legend. Okay, so we're talking about darts, which maybe not many people know about, but there'll be some good, useful sports vocabulary.
Take it way more seriously than the rest of the world darts. Like, British people take darts pretty seriously.
It's quite big here in Japan.
Yeah. You get to like
soft
darts.
But
I don't see very like competitions and like people in stadiums watching.
You won't find it unless you're looking for it, but it's definitely not like what's the Ali Pali or whatever it's called, the place where they go and it's like
Palace.
It's absolutely mental there with all the crowds shouting. I mean, I couldn't even imagine, because darts is an individual sport. I mean, we'll get into it in a bit. Let's go through the vocabulary first, yeah. But there's a lot to talk on. I've got a lot to say for sure, because I'm a big darts fan. Okay, first word is commanding. He took a commanding lead.
So in this case, like it's kind of like a synonym for strong or dominant.
Yeah.
To be honest.
Spot on. Yeah. A commanding lead, a dominant lead. Yeah.
You'll often hear commanding lead or commanding performance.
That's right. You won't hear it when they're talking about Tottenham Hotspur, but yes, you will hear it in a lot of other
Unless they're talking
cases.
about the other team.
The other team, yeah. That comes up quite a lot, actually. That comes up quite a lot. Other teams have a commanding lead over Tottenham. And these days, Manchester United, unfortunately.
Well, apparently they're equally good.
Yeah. I mean, I say unfortunately, I don't support either, of course.
Me neither.
But I feel a bit sad about Man U, to be honest, because they have
kind of a fall from grace, isn't it?
Huge, and they're so iconic, and so many like players that even if you didn't support them, you respected them highly, yeah. And then they suddenly go, whereas Tottenham never had it.
Left,
so
yeah.
Yeah.
Never had it. Never left them.
Never left the bottle. Okay, next one, sensation.
Sensation. When somebody or something comes out that's kind of really revolutionary, we'll call it a sensation. Like
you are a sensation of the English industry.
Well, yeah, I weren't going to say it. I was just waiting for you to say it, to be honest.
You're so humble.
I was going to say, like, Pokemon was a sensation when we were a kid.
Pokemon was a sensation.
Like, yeah, it just, like, came out, exploded it. And then, prawn cocktail crisp, they're a taste sensation.
Prawn cocktail crisp, man. I like, they grew on me over time. I never used to like them as a kid because they're like quite a little bit sour, aren't they? But more I got older, the better they were. Yeah, they age well. Well, they don't age well. Don't eat them out of date. Okay, otherwise you're in trouble. You're in big trouble in that case. But yeah, sensation. Okay, yeah. A veteran though, kind of the opposite in a sense.
Yeah, like the old guard, the ones that have been there for a long time.
The old guard, that's a great phrase.
When you come in, you're a sensation, but then you've been there a while, and then eventually you're a veteran, like you've been there a long time.
Yeah, so Cristiano Ronaldo is a good example of that. Yeah, was a sensation when he eventually moved. Well, he was big obviously before that, but when he moved to Man United, he became a sensation, and now he's really the veteran, for sure.
Yeah. Him and like Messi as well, I would say. Like,
Yeah, 100%. And
Cool.
and Anthony. Yeah, unfortunately, at this moment in time, not so much. But yeah, veteran. Veterans also very commonly used, referring to people who did military
In a
service
war,
for a long time. Yeah, in a war or
like
something.
a military veteran. Yeah.
Yeah, so you'll hear it a lot in that case. Especially, I feel like in American media, you hear people talk about it
All
lot.
the time.
Yeah, veterans.
We pretty much talk about it like November the 11th, like Veterans Day, in it, D-Day or whatever it were.
Yeah, that's right. 11th of the 11th of the 11th, yeah? 11th hour, the 11th day, 11th month? Is that just a fable?
They decided to do that.
Yeah, I wonder if that's a little bit of a myth.
A bit of marketing.
But marketing, I mean, yeah, I don't know if it's something you want to market. Showcase or showcased.
Yeah, to display or something. Now you go to a museum and stuff's behind like a glass case, that's called a showcase. And in the same way you can showcase something, you can like display it to the world or demonstrate it or something. And especially in sports, like they showcased a certain technique or they showcase their skill or whatever it is like that.
Again, and not I feel not one that we use in spoken English so frequently. I'm not going to, again, when I say this, I'm not saying we don't use it. That's crazy, of course. But I'd say there's easier ways to say it. Even just the word show.
Yeah.
Yeah. So showcase.
So you might see it written down in an article quite a lot.
Yeah, 100%. Notable. I think we've had this before, but notable because in this case it was a notable performance.
Yeah, it's worth paying attention to, basically. Yeah, it was noteworthy, I think, is another word that's very similar.
I think that one definitely.
It's worth noting down. That's how important it was.
Essentially, yes. It was something that we should be looking at and taking, like, I could take bits from. Yeah, notes. Okay. I talked myself into a corner. Triumph.
Victory. Success.
Essentially, yeah. Bit of a tricky word to say as well, triumph.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have a lot of people that pause before this word comes up because it's not one that you see often because we would just say win. Victory maybe is the next level up, isn't
victory.
it? Yeah. But triumph is a very celebrated
feels a bit
moment.
More like either it's against the or it's like a bigger thing. Like it's not just like your weekly game of darts down pub. It's like
it's. What are you talking about? I'm going to be using that a lot more in the future. I triumphed over you. Or something like this to my mate.
Especially if we play darts, I'm shit at it. So
it was great to triumph today, or something like this. I'm going to just do that from that one.
What a triumph for me this were.
Impeccable. I showcased impeccable skill in this triumph. Anyway, how to make it more confusing than you need to. Like I said, in English we tend to simplify things. So triumph, you'll see it mostly when it's used in media or in articles.
I think they're trying to exaggerate as well, like how important the victory was. Yeah,
100%. Okay. Oh, Dan, you should definitely do a read through.
Oh yeah. Oh,
I knew there was.
This is really hard for me to say because
felt like it was plain sailing,
has
but
got
I
two
forgot.
T's in the middle, and I just
littler
for me. Yeah, littler.
Yeah,
littler. It's hard for me to say. Right, here we go. In a commanding performance at the 2025 UK Open, 18-year-old darts sensation Luke Littler secured his first title by defeating veteran James Wade 11-2 in the final held in Minehead. Littler, see I did it that time, Littler, known as the Nuke, showcased exceptional skill, averaging a 3-dart score of 101.5, while Wade averaged 88.06. Littler's journey to the final included notable victories over Jan van Veen and Johnny Clayton. His triumph at the UK Open adds to an impressive list of achievements, including winning the World Darts Championship earlier in January 2025, where he became the youngest ever PDC World Darts Champion at 17 years and 347 days.
Nice.
There we go.
Great stuff. For me, an interesting topic. For most people, probably not, I guess.
I think it's interesting whenever you get like a young upstart that comes through and completely changes things. It's always quite interesting to see.
Well, I watched an interview, and a lot of them were saying, because recently there's been a lot of first-time champions in darts. It was previously like a long-standing win.
It's like the Power, wasn't it?
Phil the Power Taylor,
for a
or
long,
Michael
and
Van
then-
Gerwen, or something like
Yeah.
this. Eric Bristow. There was always like a long reigning champion, someone who went many years winning, and recently it's been many like one-offs. So whether he stands the test of time, we'll find out. But it is good to see someone. It's crazy that he's 17. I mean, guys, you have to go and look at this guy. He doesn't look 17. Like, he looks like our age.
35. He's had a rough paper round.
He's had a rough paper round, as we say. Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
But I think he's interesting. He's quite a humble lad, which I've seen some interviews with him, and he's quite humble. He's quite a nice lad. He's quite reserved, which is a bit strange for darts players because they seem to be quite,
mate,
extroverted
actually,
and-
you'd be surprised. Even, do you know Peter Wright? So Peter Wright
I
is
do not.
you would definitely know his face, because
Alright,
he
fair.
has a coloured Mohican usually.
Oh, that guy. I was going to say,
Yeah.
the guy with the mohawk. Yeah.
So, but he is so introvert. It's just like,
funny, isn't it?
I watched an interview with him, and basically he's created a character so that when he goes on the stage, it gives him confidence when he performs, essentially.
So it's not him, it's like a character.
Yeah. So it's one way of dealing with the pressure, I guess.
That's
So,
interesting.
yeah.
But darts is such a weird... professional darts, I say. I mean, I'm not talking like you and your mates down the pub throwing a few darts at a dartboard.
You should
I'm
talk
talking
about that
like
more. What are you talking about?
Professional darts in the UK is difficult to describe to people that are not aware of how it looks. Because you've got
Yeah.
stadiums full of people,
Yeah.
usually in fancy dress, all singing that song that goes...
Yeah,
The darts song, there's a song for it. And yeah, like...
It's become a phenomenon, isn't it?
Sports that the action that happens doesn't necessarily translate to the way the sport is perceived.
It's well, if you take it to like the 80s, it was just like a pub sport, wasn't it? And people were in the pub.
They were like
It still
sat
was a
there
pub
with their
sport.
pint on the stage.
Yeah. A lot of them
Smoking
were
and
still
whatever.
drinking on the stage
Yeah.
or something, and that kind of thing. And it was a very different atmosphere. But now it's like
Because
surprising.
it's a sport that's developed on like really like minimal movement accuracy, and it's to me it's like it's got a similar vibe to like snooker.
Yeah, exactly.
But
Yeah.
snooker, the way snooker's presented is completely the opposite of the way darts is presented.
Yes, yeah, you're completely right. They're both individual sports. They both require like
Insane accuracy and like the amount of
Accuracy.
repetitions you've got to have to get that muscle memory.
Yeah, I mean,
control.
I'm a great pool player, right? I'm pretty good
Hmm.
at pool, but when I play snooker, it's just the spatial awareness is
Different.
completely different. So you have to. It's one of those sports you have to play, or all sports, of course, you have to play a lot to get used to it. But I thought there'd be a lot of transfer, but there's parts, but not as much as you would have thought, which really shocked me, you know. And darts is you have to handle the pressure, you know, in both of those scenarios quite well. So
It's one of those sports that's like actually your opponent has very little to do with it. It's more you against the board, right? It's similar in a way to like bowling. It's like what your opponent does doesn't really affect what you're doing.
yeah,
Like if you do it perfectly every time, there's nothing they can do about it.
yeah,
And darts
100%.
is kind of like that. So yeah, it's one of those sports that it is very, very individual. It's you against you, basically.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
We didn't talk about it today, but this is something I wanted to mention in this little bit, is that what was the, he earned like, I'm going to say £100,000 or something for the win.
Really?
It's like really big prize money for someone who's just 18.
Yeah, can you imagine if you just like you were good at something and they were like, here's £500,000. Like,
It's
right.
it's crazy. That's like 3 years' wage to the average person, yeah. So, or not even. It could be on minimum
10
wage.
years
It's
wage for
like
an English
5
teacher.
years. Yeah. Well, let's not talk about that one. Let's not ruffle any feathers. But
But it's one of them things like
yeah,
the darts career is not necessarily going to last a long time, so they need to get as much money out of it as they can in that
But
short
it's
period of
no,
time
that
where
can
they're in
last
their
longer
prime.
than
But
like the average one though. Like in football, yeah, you do have a
exactly.
cut off, but
Yeah.
darts is a bit more like golf, where you can, you know, I see some of the people who were playing in the 80s still playing. You know, Taylor finished at like 60 something.
Yeah, he did. He was like the name that kind of popularized darts, weren't he?
Yeah.
Like Phil the Power Taylor. What a great name, by the way.
Yeah, it totally was a good. I mean, if it weren't for them splitting off from the traditional style of darts, I think they'd
It
never
wouldn't
have
have been
this.
popular.
Yeah, not this
A lot of
half
sports, they have this
sensitive
kind of one character that comes along and kind of, revolutionizes how the sport is perceived. And Phil Taylor was that person for.
Sky did it for the Premier League. Before the
Yeah,
Premier
yeah. There's
League,
always one thing that comes along and kind of shakes everything up.
yeah. So
I think one for. I'm not that into it these days, but I used to watch UFC quite a lot.
yeah.
And that was not well known, not popular a long time. Then like Chuck Liddell came along, and he was like the face of it for a while.
Yeah.
And it happens quite a lot in these sports. Like there's one person that people kind of gravitate to, and that's what transforms the sport. It's quite cool.
I think the thing that took it to mainstream would have been McGregor and Rousey.
Yeah.
You know, because Rousey, because of women's sport, was probably the right time. She has she was just dominant for a little while, wasn't she? And then McGregor is all personality in it. Like
Yeah.
you couldn't have a better person really to elevate a sport. I guess it's like Mike Tyson for boxing or Muhammad Ali
I was
for
gonna say
boxing.
Tyson for boxing, but you always find with that there's always controversy that comes with it. Like Tyson were very controversial, and McGregor's the same, very controversial, and yeah,
100%.
it's one of them things, and it's like there's always like a spark at the right time for these things, and yeah,
100%.
and I think this Luke Littler guy is very much the same. He's going to take it from like the level that Power Taylor took it to, and he's going to take it further. Like
potential. Well, they got a good batch of players. I mean, the average he had that 101 average is over the whole game, not just
That's
one
insane,
leg.
yeah.
That's really amazing. Like it's really difficult to get an average that high. And I was surprised actually about the other player. He only had 88, but 88's still great.
Still
But
insane.
yeah, for the average person, 88 is like a dream, of course. But it's interesting to see like where they're going to take it. I think the highest average for a whole game is like 125, which is mental.
That's insane.
Yeah,
That's insane.
It's really crazy.
But I suppose, like you said, with Luke Littler, and he's got good competition. You also need good competition.
Yeah.
You also need that rival. And I think if you just look
That's
at
why I'm getting
tennis
better
over
at
the last
English
few
teaching
years-
because of you.
Is it? We're going to have a clash.
No, yeah, clash.
At
We're gonna have a
the
clash.
English FA
Clash
Cup.
at the alley pally. Who can
But
say
it's like, if
who
you
can
look
say the
at
longest word?
tennis,
Go.
like they had, Federer, and then you got Nadal and Djokovic, and even Murray to some extent. But like those four, kind of were like the core of it. And now
Yeah.
they're going through that transition period where they've kind of finished, and the new guys are coming through. And like Formula One was the same. Like
I think all
Schumacher
sports are
and-
done it because snooker as well. Like still, Ronnie O'Sullivan's at the top.
Yeah.
I mean, he's obviously a maverick of the sport, but
He's funny because he seems like he hates the sport, but he's so good at it.
he hates the
When he does-
pressure.
Yeah.
He hates the pressure. He's had a lot of issues with anxiety and things. So yeah, it's the pressure is the thing that really is difficult for him. But I guess he became very popular when he was very young. So that's always a difficult thing.
Because the veterans were like getting towards the end of their careers, and like the new upstart came. It's the same what's happening in darts, and it like
Yeah, and that it was for a transition period. I think during the 80s and basically the 90s really, where people started to come away from alcohol in pretty much all sports. Literally before that, even football, there was a lot of alcohol involved, But in the
Gaz, innit?
90s, yeah, that's a good example, Paul Merson. But it's just a big transition in all the sports where people became more serious, basically. So I
the
think
money
it's similar.
came in, and then people got more serious, right?
Well, you should after that kind of situation, So
Sure.
It's amazing that someone so young can achieve something so big, and he certainly did that. And we took a lot of great vocabulary from the world of darts in this one as well. But did you hear about the private company that landed on the moon? A private company, that's crazy. We got a lot of space vocabulary out of that article, and it's right here if you want to learn more.